Last week we tackled how the brain of a person belonging to the psychological group of the convincers works, how you handle data, how you make judgments. This is a crucial thing to understand if you want to prevent yourself from unknowingly living in an echo chamber. For fiction writers, this could mean the difference between having the right information about which path to choose for your career, as well as how to tackle important themes or messages in your story. You might be unknowingly living in an echo chamber, and it is therefore important to understand how these echo chambers come to be. As the title of this video suggests, this week we'll be tackling the second psychological group, the supporter writers. Today we are going to start things off with a couple of recaps. I will have to reintroduce the supporters and the cognitive functions of introverted thinking as well as extroverted feeling. Then we will discuss how introverted thinking solves problems, why it solves problems, and I will introduce a concept called the TI logic tower. And then we will talk about the echo chambers that are associated with introverted thinking and extroverted feeling. And here we go. Supporters express the cognitive functions of introverted thinking and extroverted feeling. FE is all about helping people. Why? Because supporters want to get those people to value the supporter. Since supporters express introverted feeling only very weakly, they can't really produce emotional investment for themselves. They can't really value themselves based on achievements. So they need to be problem solvers in order to have a sense of self-worth. I help you, so you value me, and that way I can feel valuable. And introverted thinking is the function that is responsible for the problem-solving part, which is how supporters try to be helpful. Okay, so how does introverted thinking solve problems? Introverted thinking helps by reducing data sets, by trying to figure out how to properly dismiss data so that only relevant data is in a data set. I want to give a practical example here. When I was looking up which insurance I need for my business, I talked to a business owner who was a very strong extroverted thinking user. And she told me about a whole lot of types of insurance that I could need. So she gave me a lot of input. But me, having basically no introverted thinking at all, I have no confidence in my ability to process all that information, so I was none the wiser. The next person I called was an introverted thinking user, and he told me that I need insurance only if there is a risk of any kind. So I went through all possible risks that I might have, and we were able to dismiss most of those insurances that I'm never going to need. If we look at this image from last week's video, we can see the two interactions clear as day. I am asking a TE user, I'm getting a bunch of references to types of insurance. I ask the TI user, I get a solution to my problem. Okay, so now we have established that introverted thinking helps by reducing datasets and by dismissing data points. So how does it do that? There are two ways introverted thinking can do this. Number one, experimentation. You don't need to look for reviews to figure out whether a movie is good. All you need to do is watch the movie. Then you have the only data point that matters, your personal experience. Let's look at an example for experimentation. I tried method A and the lawnmower blew up. I now have a solid new data point or a new premise. If I try method A, my lawnmower blows up. Method A doesn't work. The second way supporters dismiss data points is by verifying them against their own pre-existing premises. Let's take the lawnmower example again. Everyone online tells me to try method A, but I know for a fact that method A caused my lawnmower to blow up. So, using that premise, I can now dismiss all the opinions online that recommend method A. I have a premise that I have verified by experiencing it myself, and now I can use that to dismiss other opinions. However, this is not always a good thing to do, as you will see later. There is a third way TI users can use to dismiss data, and it is by processing the premise. Going back to our example, since we asked the people online, the premise we want to test is that method A works. Since everyone says method A is the right way to go, everyone must be stupid. That would be a logical conclusion. But is it likely? No. Maybe they're saying that method A is the right way to go because their lawnmowers didn't explode. Alright, so why is that the case? Maybe they did explode and everyone online just didn't notice because they're stupid. Yes, a tendency of prideful, immature TI users is to just assume that other people are stupid and that their input generally can't be trusted. Does it make sense in our scenario? No. Okay, so maybe I was using a different model than everybody else online. And this is now a new premise that we can test. As you can see, with pure logic, step by step, the TI user arrives at a new premise. An introverted feeling user, for comparison, would have trusted the majority opinion right away. Hey guys, my lawnmower exploded with method A, why? And someone would have suggested that you're using a different model. By outsourcing your thinking, there is no need for all these steps in between. If you consider this example, you will immediately spot how the TI echo chamber happens. Once we tried method A, we knew it wasn't going to work. But had we never considered the input of everyone online telling us that method A should work and verified this input, then we would have never realized that method A wasn't actually the problem at all and that it very much does work. See, this is the problem when you, as a TI user, dismiss input too readily, instead of examining it more closely. You take away your ability to detect your own faulty premises. This is how you, introverted thinking users, need to do research. You need to look at all the data that you don't want to look at. You need to look at opinions of people that you consider stupid. You need to listen to people's thoughts and not dismiss them without having verified them. Okay, so now the question is, why do supporters consider people's input as untrustworthy and dismiss them too readily? Well, the answer is pretty simple, because supporters, just like convincers, like everybody in the world, want to feel valuable. You gotta understand what's at stake here for the TI user. Their ability to value themselves is derived from their ability to help people. They only feel valuable if they know they are helpful and they're able to help. And I know that in previous videos I talked about how supporters underestimate themselves by default and how convincers overestimate themselves by default, but that isn't entirely accurate, I'm afraid. With supporters, they actually do feel valuable if they go around knowing that they're smart enough or capable enough to help people and to entertain people. If they've helped people in the past or entertained them or recently, then that is proof that their premises are strong, which means that they're able to help in the future as well. Alright, so we can see now why supporters have an incentive to remain ignorant. Because if their premises are disproven, then they were actually not helpful the entire time. They realize that they're actually not currently able to solve problems, which means that their value to other people and to society is greatly diminished, and therefore no self-esteem. To an introverted thinking user, being right literally means being valuable. And feeling worthless is always a painful feeling, so these types may choose to dismiss data rather than test it, because they don't want their logic towers to crumble as a result of having their premises disproven. It is just another form of ignorance, which is a result of pride. Stop being prideful, people. Start being humble. Okay, now, before we can finally talk about echo chambers, there is one more thing you need to know. Depending on what specific type of supporter you are, you can either suffer more from the TI-based echo chamber or the FE-based echo chamber. The reason for this is that different supporters express TI more strongly, or FE. I introduced this concept in the last video alongside the cognitive function stack. If you're interested, check it out. With the TI-based echo chamber, we have a situation like this. A lot of logic towers that are very tall, but they are based on limited input. These types isolate themselves from new input and actively invalidate new input using their existing premises. They claim that they do this because new input can't be trusted, but really they're just afraid that their logic towers might crumble. The second echo chamber is the extroverted feeling-based echo chamber, and it is all about I have to be supportive of public values and the accepted social standard. Like, for instance, we don't eat before everyone's at the table and we have said our prayers. Or voting for this party is a bad thing, so nobody in our family does it. Or, I don't know, segregation, slavery. Whatever the accepted social standard of the group is, a strong FE user will want to support it in an attempt to provide value to the group and be of value. It's their way of helping. In these cases, they don't really have an incentive to verify a widely accepted value, because testing accepted premises is almost a betrayal against the community. And because they have such a strong extroverted feeling, they are all about supporting the community and being of value to the community. So why would they actually try to disprove one of their accepted values? Strong extroverted feeling users are not so much about finding truth and being helpful by solving problems, but they're more about being helpful by supporting accepted values. With the extroverted feeling echo chamber, we have more a situation like this. We know about a lot of premises that are widely accepted, yet we have verified only a few. New input is dismissed not only because we are afraid of being wrong, but also because we want to support our local group. Strong FE users won't accept input unless it is accepted in their social environment. Their social environment is their echo chamber. This goes against what everybody has accepted, so I don't need to listen to it. Nobody likes this, so I don't need to listen to it. They should learn to verify their premises through experimentation. Is this accepted standard actually helpful? Does it actually provide value? Is it perhaps even harmful? Am I perhaps not helpful at all by supporting these standards? Strong extroverted feeling users need to learn to verify their premises, but they also really need to learn to accept input that they don't like. They listen the least of all types. Long story short, the TI-based echo chamber is like, I'm right and everybody else is wrong. And the FE-based echo chamber is, I'm not gonna listen to anything that isn't supported by the accepted standard. Alright, that is already it. This was the deep dive into introverted thinking. A big topic, very complicated, a lot of psychology, not a lot of writing advice, and I apologize for that. Next week it's going to be all about exposition from the perspective of the convincers and supporters. I'm already excited for that, and I hope I'll see you in these videos.